what's up, everyone, and welcome to One Faith. Today, it is a special day. I have with me a very special guest. I am super excited to have this man of God with us today. We randomly came in contact with each other through Clubhouse. And when he reached out to me and we connected, we talked for a good while. And then I gave him my number and said, "Hey, let's FaceTime and I want to hear your story." And so he reached out and we talked for about a couple hours. And while he was going over his story, it was just so powerful. It was so impactful. And I said, you know what? I got to get you on my podcast. And he had already asked. He was like, I would love to be on your podcast. I would love to be on it because, I have a story that I believe that is very important and should be out. And then as I heard his story, it's very touching. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's very touching. It's very amazing, and just to see how God is able to use your gifts for His glory, regardless of what your circumstances or what your situation is. And so I'm excited to have this guy with us. He's a Paralympian. He just competed out in Tokyo. So he's fresh back from Tokyo. And he is an amazing man. He's a husband, a father, and he's just been doing his thing lately, man. And I'm just honored to have him here with us today. So without further ado, I'm going to bring him up. Hey, what's going on, Joe? How's everything going with you?
Hey, going well, going well. We got some technology problems solved, and so
Yeah.
uh, so now everyone can see my awesome popcorn ceiling down here in the basement. No, it's going well, man. I'm excited to be here. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
no problem, man. Yeah, we're both popcorn friends. So like, if I like right there,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
where's my hand? Right here, popcorn
Yep.
symbol right there. So you're not alone in this,
Yeah.
man. I'm excited to have you on because I like I said in my opening, man, when we spoke and when we connected, your story really touched my heart. And I feel like, you have a story that's for the masses. I believe that your story, your testimony will definitely impact a lot of people. And I truly believe this, that, as you continue to let your story out, let people know who you are and what you're all about, it's gonna definitely catch on like wildfire, and everyone will be flocking to hear about you and wanting to know more about you and your story. And so I'm not gonna keep talking because I can ramble for a bit. And when I do, my wife usually text me and be like, "Hey, you're going a little bit too long. Let your guests talk."
Oh man.
But just yeah, give us a quick little introduction about who you are, a little bit about your background, and also you can walk us through your recent success in Tokyo as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm a keynote speaker. I love to tell my story, and my other job is been playing on the national team for wheelchair rugby for 13. I just finished up my 13th year. That's why my eyes look tired. I've got three kids, 9, 8, and 6. They're about 2 years apart, each of them, and so we're busy with that. My wife and I have been married for 14 years. Um, and it'll be 15 next June. We're excited about that milestone, man. 15 years of marriage.
Hey, hey, you're doing it. You're
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah. So that's me in a nutshell. Just got back from Tokyo. We're about 5 weeks removed from being back, and so that I'm still in this space of it's such a high of going to the Paralympics and competing, coming back with a silver medal, and getting so close to goals like tie game, fourth quarter. We'll get to that, but so close to that. But coming back off that high and diving right back into um, the normal duties of being a dad, being a husband, and then figuring out like, okay, well, like the Paralympics are great, but what's my purpose? Why? How can I use that for God's glory? And that's been some like really good times, but then also just dealing with just being raw is it's also dealing with some tough times, dealing with some times where like thinking through like maybe some feelings and emotions of yeah, we lost and we're so close, and just being done with it and going, okay, did I do a good job? Did I lead these guys the right way? Did I honor God through my actions of the Paralympics? And so it's been a roller coaster kind of emotions of the last 5 weeks.
And I was checking you guys out, and I was, looking at, your stories, and you were sharing everything on Instagram, and it was just amazing to see that you guys got as far as you did, and was actually in the championship game. And to be honest with you, not a lot of people will get that far, and you guys did, and it was just an honor to see, just how you guys competed and how the fierceness and everything. But at the same time, it's also, you also, everybody wants that gold. At the end of the day, everybody wants the gold. What is it that from Talladega Nights? If you ain't first, you're last.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's an amazing accomplishment to just be able to go to Tokyo and just to represent our country in such an amazing way. So, man, I applaud you and I salute you and I thank you for your sacrifice as far as just going out there and doing everything in the midst of this pandemic, and everything that's going on. And man, you have your jersey, you have your gold, well, your medals in back there. And so, for those who are just tuning in and just watching, this is One Faith, and we are here with Olympic silver medalist Joe Delagrave. Yeah, he has an amazing story, and we're going to jump right into it. And so, Joe, I was telling everyone earlier who was watching and was tuning in, that your story is very impactful, it's very special. So just go ahead and walk us through your testimony. What happened? You were a very highly sought after football player prospect, and what happened?
Yeah, so kind of to unpack that a little bit, like growing up, I love sports, love to be a part of a team. I did the plays and musicals thing as well. Um, Zach Efron just had better abs, I guess. He kind of, like that's neither here nor there. But I loved being a part of a team, and that was a goal, is to be a college athlete, whether that was excuse me, whether that was on the college on the football field or the basketball court. Pretty good at both sports, and and kind of a dream come true for me. My mom and dad didn't finish college, and so I was like, I want a college education. I want to be able to play a sport. And so 18 years old, my mom drops me off at it's a Division II school called Winona State in Winona, Minnesota. Drops me off, and I start my career as a tight end at college. And so that entire year, I made a good impression. I played as a true freshman, and everything's kind of going well for me. And a little background on my faith as well. I grew up in a Christian home. My mom learned she was pregnant with my oldest sister, Gina. She completely just said no to the lifestyle she was living and yes to God. And just I mean, it was kind of a transformation where it's, hey, this is where I'm going, and I'm saying yes to Jesus. I'm saying yes to to my faith, and no to a lot of other things that were going on in her life. And so growing up, we had a solid faith instilled in us. I mean, it's like Jesus was the answer to everything type of deal.
Yeah,
And I had one of those moms where I'm a mixed guy. My mom's white, my dad's black. Dad grew up in Chicago. My mom grew up in Iowa, so very different
yeah,
cultures, right? But my mom was the mom that would, I'd come home with a math problem. She didn't know anything about, but she's like, well, Jesus is the answer to that. I'm like, Mom, I can't. Like,
Can't write Jesus down, Mom. I need the
like,
actual.
I hear you, Mom, but like that's not going to get me an A on my algebra test. Like I need this, like, So, but instilled in that, and so, but when I went to college, all I'd say when I went to college, I was so focused on, and I think a lot of us get this. I was so focused on pleasing my coaches and my teammates, pleasing those around me, and those can be good things, but I focused so much on that I let my relationship with the Lord slide. I
Mm,
plugged into church and get plugged into youth groups. I was just like, man, I just want to make an impact on this team. I want to be the best football player again. I want to have all the experiences, um, and so as good as that year was athletically, spiritually, it was depleting.
yeah.
Uh, my relationship, my personal relationship with the Lord. And that summer we had, fall football was a great year. We ended up getting about 2-3 games away from the national championship in Division II, and that spring ball was good. And hey, we're going to come back. You're going to be our tight end. Go back to your hometown and you're gonna you'll be our starting tight end. So go back to your summer off program, workout, run, all that stuff. And so I went back. That's what I did. And that summer of 2004 changed my life. It's July 10th,
Mm,
2004. My buddies Adam and Kyle are back with me in Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, which is a little river town of about 5,000 people on the west side of Wisconsin, bordering Iowa, and right on the Mississippi there. And on the weekends on a river town, you go on the river, you kneeboard, you fish, you do, like, it's just
mm,
that's what you do. And so we were out on the river on July 10th, 2004. It was a Saturday, partly cloudy, 75 degrees, and we're just enjoying life. And I had my hands behind my head, lean, my 6'6" frame, just kind of lean in this chair and enjoying life. And that kind of signaled just the kind of like the romantic time that 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids have, where not a lot of responsibility. You
yeah.
think you do, but not a lot of responsibility. And there's an incredible amount of invincibility. You just
Yeah.
feel invincible. You feel so like the world's at your fingertips. There's so many different avenues and choices that you're supposed to make and go down, and it's kind of a romantic and indestructible, invincible time. And hands behind my head, that's kind of like the feelings that I had. We were watching board, Kyle's driving. We're in a back slough of the Mississippi, which is just an off channel to the main channel because it's a little bit calmer and easier to kneeboard. And Kyle accidentally hits the bottom of the river.
Mm,
Me slouched in this chair, I fly backwards, hit my head on the front of the boat, inside the boat, and
wow.
neck at the C6 and 7 level, 6 or 7 vertebrae down from the base of your skull. Blackout and wake up about a minute later, and Kyle and Adam are looking at me, and tears rolling down their cheeks. And I knew something was wrong. I didn't know the permanency of it. I didn't know the gravity of the situation, but I knew something was wrong. And they had asked me to move my legs. We were all lifeguards growing up, so they knew, like, not to move me or anything like that. But they asked some questions, and I sent the signal from my brain down through my spinal cord, like we do, like I'm doing with my hands right now, and subconsciously, and nothing happens. And I'm kind of going like, okay, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Okay. Um, and they're like, Joe, can you touch your leg? Can you feel your leg? There's no feeling in my leg. I couldn't feel it. It was like I was feeling someone else's leg. I couldn't have the feeling in my leg. And I'm like, hey, something's wrong. And they end up getting me to, 911. Rescue boat comes, and rescue boat to the ambulance. The ambulance is a hospital. Med flights me to the largest hospital in the area, and end up having surgery on my neck. And I remember um, being in the hospital room after a couple days and looking up at my wall, and just going like, what in the world is going on? What, I got tubes everywhere. I can barely breathe. And I have no idea what's coming next. I have no idea. It's just a 19-year-old kid going like, asking the doctors like, what's happening? I'm laying in this bed. I can't move my legs. I can't feel my legs. I can't. I have no like movement in one arm. My other arm can kind of move a little bit, but um, that's when the depression is there and the hopelessness is there and the feeling of what is going to happen next. I've got football practice coming up in a month. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. So you were 19 at the time. You talk about how depression and hopelessness kind of settled in. What else was going through your mind as you're 19 years old? You're really, it's like your life is just flashing before your eyes because you're like, man, this can't happen. I'm only 19. I have so much life to experience. You know, walk us through that thought process. You know, how did you get out of that dark place? And how long were you in it?
Yeah, yeah. So it really set in when the doctor comes in. It's about a couple days after my accident, and I'm asking like, "What is this? What?" And all these like terminal, like you're a 6 and 7 quadriplegic spinal cord injury,
Mhm.
income, blah blah blah. Like, and I'm like, "What does this mean? Like, what's this mean? What's this? What's the prognosis? Like, am I going to get out of this bed? What's going on?" And he goes, "Joe, you got a 3% chance to walk again." And I'm like, what are you talking? Like, for at night, I'm just like, no, 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 like maybe a couple months and I'm good, or okay, like 6 months, like, and he goes, Joe, no, this is paralysis. At the C6 and 7 level, this is probably what you'll get back function wise. You'll be able to move your arms. You won't be able to move your hands very well. Your trunk muscles won't work. Um, your legs are going to be paralyzed, and you're going to have to cath yourself every day with a catheter. You're going to have to learn how to manage your bowels. You're going to have to, like, all this stuff just vomiting on me, and I'm just like,
Wow.
the world, like, no, 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 and all these questions at 19. I think we already have, like, what's our purpose, and what am I passionate about, and how can I am I going to find a job that I love, or is this girl that I'm with going to stay, or am I going to be able to have kids? Like, that was a big, and I know my mom in the room, and she's like, I want grandkids, like, she's like, can he have sex? I'm like, Mom, come on, come on, like,
I was asking all the important questions.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, Mom, get out of my room. And then I'm like, Doctor, let's talk about that. Like, I gotta know, like, what's, what, but real life questions. And then there's this Bible verse that pops up, complete God thing. A week before my accident, it was July 3rd, 2004. I'm wearing this Don Beebe House of Speed shirt. Don Beebe was a little white receiver, like the Julius Edelman of his day, that played for the Buffalo Bills when they lost all those Super Bowls. Sorry if there's any Bills fans listening, and then he won with the Packers. Um, and he had a speed camp in Wisconsin. I did not go to. And how I got this shirt, how I take this, as we're at a football game in college, and I forgot my shirt underneath my pads. I'm asking guys like, "Hey, anyone got anything?" Like, I gotta put, so I can't be chafing and all that stuff. Like, and the kicker gives me this shirt. He was a senior, a great guy, but still, it's like, man, kicker's making fun of me. He's like, "Hey, you have this House of Speed shirt. You need it." I was a tight end, probably a cheeseburger away from being a tackle. Like, I think they probably were grooming me for that. So my paralysis saved me for having to play on the offensive line. But really,
Right.
our in our scheme, I was just uh, a sixth lineman is what I was. But now, and this House of Speed shirt, I was like, all right, well, I'm keeping this thing. Like, it was already cut off and everything like that, like this shirt. And I'm like, I'm keeping it. He's gonna make fun of me. And July 3rd, I was wearing this shirt, 2004. I was at a basketball camp helping out, and one of the council camp coaches was saying, "Hey, what's on your shirt, man?" And I told him the same story, and yeah, like, he's like, "No, there's a Bible verse on there. What's that Bible verse say?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. I probably hadn't opened up my Bible in a semester." Um, and he goes, "Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, man. That's trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He's going to direct your paths." And I'm like, wow, man, that's really cool. That's, and that just like stuck to me. I had went and opened my Bible that week and just read it again. And, it's like a little coffee mug verse that everyone that's a Christian probably knows. And at the time, I'm just like, wow, it's really for the time of my life. Like, yeah, I like that. I like that. That's good. That's good. And a week later, I break my neck.
Wow.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding.
Mm.
And looking back 17 years later, well, I'm like, that's not a coincidence. That's the Lord saying, hey, there's some stuff that's going to happen in your life, but trust me, I've got a plan.
Wow.
And I think a lot of times when we're in that valley, we're in the circumstances, we're in the obstacles, we're in the darkness of life that inevitably comes to all of us. Maybe not wheelchair paralysis, but inevitably comes to every single one of us, whatever it is. There's hardships in life. And in those moments, I think the Lord wants to speak to us and say, hey, hold on here. Trust me. I've got a plan for your life. I've got a future for your life. It may not be the 5-year plan that you got. I don't know about. For me, I'm not. I might have a plan. I probably didn't have a PowerPoint set up with like 20 slides, like some of the women maybe that are, like our wives are like, they got the whole thing planned out. You're like, I didn't like, hey, this is in my calendar, but no. And I think for me, it's like, no, I'm supposed to be an athlete. I'm supposed to be a college football player. God, my heart with sports. God, that I want this, and I want to graduate with a degree. I want to break the chains of some generational stuff going on within our family. God, my passion and my heart for this. And that verse came to me in the hospital again. My sisters had put it on a a cute little Pinterest, Etsy type of wall thing on the hospital wall. And remember looking at that every morning, getting up after the doctor's telling me you got 3% chance to walk again, Joe. It's not going to happen. And I look up at that and trust in the Lord and lean and right away, man, I was angry. I was so frustrated and hurt and mad, going like, "What do you? Why have I? Like, I don't want to trust in you right now. I want to know what's going on. I want to know if this is going to be okay." I'm every morning going like praying, and I got people coming into my room encouraging me, and teammates from high school and college, and coaches from high school and college, and my parents, and church members, and everyone praying for healing. And I'm like, God, would you wiggle a toe? God, would you move a leg? God, like, take this away from me. I can't handle the depression and the anger and the madness and the sadness and the like every one of those emotions coming in at different times, and just being frustrated with, I don't want to trust. I just want to know. I think as humans, we get into our own heads and go like, I love this plan, but let me know like the steps ahead of it. Let me know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let me, if you're watching that scary movie and you're anything like me, I'm like, man, I want to know the ending. Okay, I know the end. Okay, I'm gonna watch the scary parts because I know what the ending is. It's a lot
Right.
of walk through the darkness and the unknown when you know what happens in the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that verse every day when I look at it slowly starts to change my heart. And the mentality that I'm a 6'6", 260-pound rough tough football player, that facade starts to get chipped at. And I start to realize, man, I can't do this with my own strength because I don't have any. Um, and it was a night in the hospital. I had gotten out of ICU and into some acute um, care, and still figuring out stuff. And but I go, God, I can't do this on my own. If I do this on my own, I probably it'll end up going to some dark place, or I'll end up like I can't. I don't know, but I know you know. I know you're a God that cares about his children, that cares about us, and has a purpose for us. Each and every one of us are made uniquely in his image. Whatever you look like, whatever culture you come from, you're made unique in his image. And he loves you and he cares about you. And that's what he's speaking to me that night. And it slowly just changed my heart.
Wow. Wow. So that would be like the pivotal moment that helped to increase your faith. You know, your faith was waning, and it was really in a weird place because you know you're a 19-year-old kid and you're experiencing all of this for the first time, well, ever, and you're really trying to figure things out. For one, most 19-year-olds aren't that, I would say, spiritually conscious of what's going on and aware of everything that's going on. Um, and not only that, but understanding that you need the Lord. That isn't on the front of every 19-year-old's mind that just broke their neck. And they're now realizing that their entire life is changing. And just to see that you you got the t-shirt with the Bible scripture on it, and then a year later that same scripture is what really pulls you out and pulls you through. It just goes to show just how much God really looks out for us and prepares us for the unknown, whatever's coming next. You know, I'm not going to get too deep into my story because this is about you. But I remember when I went through a situation when one of my best friends had passed away. Before he passed away, the Lord told me, I'm going to take you through something, but I'm also going to bring you out. And I didn't understand it at the time. I just thought, oh, well, I'm in college. Of course, I'm in college. I'm going through a lot right now.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was that situation that I was dealing with. And I remember having a conversation with my mom, telling her this in Chick-fil-A and Wilson, like, Mom, the Lord said he's going to take me through something and he's going to bring me out. I don't know what that means. And then bam, this happens. And then my mom brings it back to my remembrance. The Lord got you. You know, he's going to take care of you. And it's just like in your situation, in that moment, you know, that scripture came full circle. You have no choice but to trust in the Lord with all your heart and to lean not on your own understanding. And so looking at your situation and looking at your where you are right in that moment, you know, you find your peace, you find your faith, you reclaim your faith. Talk to us about what happens next. You know, let's say you are a year or two, you know, from this situation happening, and now you are, you know, trying to figure out life. You know, what did that look like for you? You know, going back home, and really relying on people, and then talk to us or walk through us. You know, how you met your wife, and how did she come along, and how did she help out in that process as well?
Yeah. There's a couple more things that happen in the hospital that are crucial to, I think, to tell people, um, is the importance of having people in your life. In church language, we call that discipleship,
Yep.
right? And in secular terms, it's mentoring and mentorship. But having a group of, whatever you want to call it, a group of people in your life that will build you up when you need it, that will also pull you back when you need it. We need some get back guys in our life sometimes. Like, it's just
Yeah.
the truth. And I like the term, like, human guardrails, people that are there to kind of keep you on the path that you're supposed to be on. Um, and there's a song by Need to Breathe that I heard recently that talks about the riverbanks and having people in your life being those riverbanks. So your stream, your river, your path forward is being guided by God, and He's using people in your life to help you do it. April, my wife, is one of those, the strongest one. She's so we're dating. We dated maybe a month left in our high school career from the same little town, and then dated in college. Um, and 3 months in the hospital there, 89 straight days in the hospital. She showed up, at least for a little bit, every single day, every single day at 19 years old. And so, like, it's just, I broke up with her for a little bit after my accident because I'm like, man, this girl loves me something fierce, and I don't know if like I can reciprocate. God, it just scared me how much she loved me and cared for me and encouraged me, and just a rock of a person, of a woman. And it's such a God thing because she saw me for me. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm just taking care of this crippled dude now. Like, she just is like, no, you're the same person. You have the same spirit. You have the same soul. You're in a wheelchair now. We'll figure it out. But like, I'm not gonna like baby you. You're still my man. And the whole, so, and yeah, we've been married 14 years now with 3 kids, and it's been amazing to have a partner in this whole thing, that will not allow me to use the disability excuse or the victim card or be like, woe is me. And if I'm having those days, yeah, she'll listen, but it's like, hey, like this, we're not gonna do that. And so she's been amazing through that. The other piece that happened in the hospital, when I'm asking the Lord, like, yeah, I need you. I can't do this alone. And he started to work on my heart. My dad and I hadn't seen each other for 15, 14 years at that point when I'm 19, and he was in and out of prison since I was 5, with some writing some bad checks, and doing some different extracurricular activities that he shouldn't have been doing, and a lot of broken promises over the years. God, yeah, I'm gonna be at your game. Yeah, I'm gonna come to your middle school graduate. Okay, the high school graduation. I got you. I'm gonna come there. And he had messed up over and over and over and over again. And that high school graduation, I was just like, I'm done with this guy. I'm done. And maybe, and I think a lot of times it's like, okay, healthy boundaries. We don't want to talk to people in our lives, like, and the Lord just slowly worked on my heart, and just felt like I needed to go and visit my dad. He was in um, a prison about 2 hours away from Winona, Minnesota. And I'm like, no, I'm not. That's like, I'm going through enough right now. I don't need to deal with that. I'm going through enough right now. Um, and I'm like, no, no, no. And it slowly just, it continues to come up. And man, go see my dad. And I had my grandfather, my dad's dad, my hero in life. He was one of the first 13 Black commissioned officers in the Navy. Just an amazing man. I love to go and see him. I go and see him, and literally just crawl up his steps, because he didn't have, like, he had steps to his house, but I just loved to spend time with him, and that's what I would do. I couldn't walk up the steps, obviously, so I just kind of boosted my butt up the steps because I love to spend time with my. And he's like, "Hey, you gonna go see Mike? You go see your dad?" And I'm like, "No, I don't know, grumbling, and I even asked April. I'm like, "Hey, this isn't a good idea," but I was kind of thinking. And she goes, "No, that's a great idea. We should absolutely go. I'll come with you." I was hoping she'd say no too. I'm just trying to find someone that will be on my side with this, and we ended up going to see him Thanksgiving of 2005. It had been 15 years since I had seen him face to face in person, and we go into the prison. I had not been to a prison probably since I was 5, visiting him, and I had no idea kind of like the protocols, whatever. And I get in there, and I'm a newly injured, less than a year and a half since my accident, so I'm still trying to figure out my wheelchair situation, and I don't really know how to be an advocate for myself. But basically, like, the guard was like, "Joe, we need you to get out of that chair, because we got to put you in basically what looks like the old hospital grandma looking chair." I mean, it's just all, I'm like, I'm going to see my dad for the first time. Like, this is really emotional. I kind of want to be in my chair. They're like, "No, you can't." And so I was just like, okay. Like, I had no idea how to be an advocate for myself, and that I'm like, no, these are basically my legs. I need my own wheelchair. Like, if that was that now, I'd just laugh at it and be like, no, And so, anyways, I'm in this prison wheelchair, going to see my dad for the first time, like all janky looking, with this chair. And we get into the visiting room, and he comes out, um, in a green jumpsuit. And I'm kind of thinking like, man, on the movies they got the orange jumpsuit. Why they got the and like I know, I just didn't know. And he comes out and he sits down at the table and we got some snacks from the vending machine. And I look across at him and to see my dad, to see that my eyes look like his eyes, that my skin tone looks like his skin tone, that my freckles and characteristics and mannerisms are like his, was one of the most beautiful things I've ever done. And a lot of people are like, man, you must have been so strong to go sit and I was like, man, I was fighting in the whole way. But what the Lord did that day was teach me about forgiveness. And I think a lot of times we're quick to write people off. We're quick to say, nah, I'm like, we're they messed up 6, 7, 8 times. And the Lord's like, yeah, I died on the cross for you too. How many
Power.
times and how many times that I've had to come and repent for my sins, and what happens when we show a little bit of love and a little bit of grace to people, even when we think maybe they don't deserve it. That's the gospel right there, man. And to be able to have that moment with my dad was so special. He passed away in 2016 um, from emphysema and some health related complications. But from 2005 to 2016, we ended up having a relationship and ended up being able to spend time together. Big Cubs fan. We ended up going to Wrigley Field together, and just having those moments to be able to have a father-son relationship for a second was so important to me. And when he passed away, I was so thankful that I took the time to go see him and see what God could work through His power of grace, through His power of mercy, through His power of forgiveness, in teaching me that just sprinkling a little love, opening my heart enough to receive that, turned into something beautiful.
And you know what? That's amazing because when we look at life and we look at some of the things that we go through, it's oftentimes kind of hard to forgive people for the things that they've done. And even in your situation, dealing with your own setbacks and your own paralysis, and now you're given this new gift of forgiveness. You're able to let go and to just truly love someone who hurt you and did you wrong, but you're able to do this within this entire process that you're going through. And for me, I look at that and I think, man, that's huge. You're able to continue to grow and learn about God, learn about more of these different aspects and elements. That's really key, and it's going to help you become more and grow more in your own life as you're dealing with your own situation. And just to hear the story about your wife, man, you have a good one. It's funny because a lot of people at 19, just think about 19 years old. Your girlfriend at the time is there with you. Like she took the vows early, for better or for worse, and she stood by your side when it went to the worst. And just to see that you guys are still married and still together, 14 years in, 3 kids. It's a beautiful thing because you know like you said, it's important to find people who will hold you up and encourage you. If your wife had to say, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's go see your father. Like that wouldn't have happened. That forgiveness, that learning about God in that forgiveness space wouldn't have happened for you. And it really did something to help you to learn more about who God is in a deeper way. And so, how did you get the opportunity to start doing the Paralympics?
Yeah,
Walk me through that real quick.
obviously the sports thing has always been. deal for me. It's been a passion. Like it's just the way God made me and wired me. And I didn't think that wheelchair sports were like, I honestly, man, I thought they were pathetic. I was just going, come on, like this is like a Make a Wish Foundation thing. Like it just, this is going to be awful. Which and not to, sorry, not to poo poo on Make a Wish. They're amazing. But I thought, man, no, no, it's not going to be. And again, had someone in my life, man. When people say like, oh, I'm self made and blah blah blah, I'm like, that's a bunch of BS. Like we have there's it takes a community, it takes God intervene. And just I had blown up basically, still ate like a football player. I got fat, and my buddy Kyle, he was driving the boat at the time of my accident. My buddy Kyle had said, man, you get, like, in a very loving way, he's like, "Man, you're getting kind of big, dude. Like, maybe we should get you weighed, you know." So long story short, we ended up getting weighed. The scale said 285 pounds. I'm going like, I can't even push her on the block in my everyday chair. I need to figure out a sport to play. Googled sports, found wheelchair rugby, looked at the video. For those that haven't seen it, it's basically crippled people chasing each other around, trying to make each other more crippled. Like it's kind of an oxymoron type of thing.
Right.
Wild. It's a little wild, but it when I saw that video, all that to say is I saw a video, that looked a lot different than what I thought I could do when I looked in the mirror. I thought, man, you're disabled, you're crippled, you can't play sports anymore. Your identity as an athlete is gone. And these guys are smashing into each other. They're strong, they're masculine, they're confident, and I'm going like, I need to play this sport. And so I ended up looking up the closest team to me, which was in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at a place called Courage Center. And went to a practice, thought I was going to watch. They got me in a chair. An hour later, I was moving up and down the court really slow. Like I was definitely, not a good athlete, balls flying everywhere and everything like that. But I realized, wow, I can be an athlete again. And then the beauty of being in this community, and there's a lot of harsh people in this community, and some mad people, but there's also some people that are going like, all right, well, yeah, I'm in a wheelchair, but I drive independently and I can take care of myself independently. And then I was like, oh wow, like this sports at the national level, you can be a Paralympian, and I learned what those were. And what was cool is through this sport, I was able to re define what I thought were my limits, and then also start setting some goals for my health and my physical well-being that helped my mental well-being, that pointed it back to God and said, man, thank you so much for giving me what you knew was my passion, because you made me back. And it reminds me of the verse in Psalms. It's in the 30s. I forget what it is, but it's delight yourself in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart. He knows what you want. He knows what you need. More importantly, but God wants us to see us fulfilling our passions and purpose. He wants to see us delight, in those things, and He knows our desires. But it's a seek the kingdom of God first, right? It's a delight in the Lord first. And so it's, I think where sometimes we slip up is we put that priority of sports, that priority of wanting to get a better job, that priority of wanting the family, that priority of wanting money, that priority of wanting that brand new awesome minivan. Come on now, minivan people. Uh,
Yeah.
we got to have our priorities straight, and it starts with our relationship with the Lord.
Yeah, yeah, man, that's awesome, and I love your story. I love hearing just the journey of you coming, into this thing as a 19-year-old kid, not really understanding what's going on in your life. Your life just changed, and then just grasping and holding on to the Lord throughout the process, even when times when your faith wavered.
Yeah.
You still stood strong in in your faith and your belief, and that conversation alone with the Lord is just impactful, because a lot of people don't think that you're worthy enough to hear from God. But God speaks to us even in our most darkest places, and He meets us there. And for Him to meet you there, pull you out of your dark place, and not only that, but also put you on the path that you're on today. Like I said in the beginning, man, I truly wholeheartedly believe that this, it was definitely a setback, but it was actually a setup, because it set you up to where you are right now. And I believe that you have a beautiful story that is going to reach the masses, and that a lot of people will be blessed by it. I thank God that you're here with us on today, able to share your story and to share the gospel, and to also encourage anyone who's going through any type of situation. Hey, yes, life may give you lemons. Things may happen, but it's not the end. You have a whole life ahead of you, regardless of whatever the situation is. And not only that, but God is still your God, and He's still for you. He knows the desires of your heart. And if you just place your faith in Him, He'll give you the desires of your heart. All you have to do is just trust Him. Even as hard as it may sound, and even I know for you, being a Paralympian, it was hard to even come to that understanding that, hey, God could give me back my athletic ability, even in a wheelchair. What who's thinking of that type of stuff? Only God can think of that type of thing, to put you in that position to where you're able to now fully be who you wanted to be. At the same time, all you had to do is just trust Him. And so, Joe, I thank you, man. I have to jet, and man, this was an amazing episode. For those who are watching, you can definitely tune in. If you can follow Joe on Instagram at J Delagrave 14. Connect with him on his website, joedelagrave.com. If you would like to have this awesome man of God to speak at any of your functions, he's a public speaker. He does this thing for a living. He goes around and he talks to people about this. It's an amazing journey. It's an amazing story. So I thank you, man, for being on here with us today. God bless you. Praying that God will continue to bless and flourish you. And like I said, man, continue to get your story out there. It needs to be heard, man. It needs to be heard. I love you, bro.
Appreciate it, and thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm.